mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, never forget that you are not alone. The Divine is with you, helping you and guiding you. He is the companion who never fails, the friend whose love comforts and strengthens. Have faith and He will do everything for you. With my blessing, says our Divine Mother. Words of our Divine Mother from the collective works of our Divine Mother, question and answers of 1930-31, topic stepping back. Our Divine Mother says most of you live on the surface of your being, exposed to the touch of external influences. You live almost projected as it were outside your own body, and when you meet some unpleasant being similarly projected, you get upset. The whole trouble arises out of your not being accustomed to stepping back. You must always step back into yourself, learn to go deep within, step back and you will be safe. Our Divine Mother says, do not lend yourself to the superficial forces which move in the outside world. Even if you are in a hurry to do something, step back for a while and you will discover to your surprise how much sooner and with what great success your work can be done. If someone is angry with you, do not be caught up in his vibrations, but simply step back and his anger, finding no support or response, will vanish. Keep always your peace, resist all temptation to lose it. Never decide anything without stepping back, never speak a word without stepping back, never throw yourself into action without stepping back. Our Divine Mother says, all that belongs to the ordinary world is impermanent and fugitive, so there is nothing in it worth getting upset about. What is lasting, eternal, immortal, and infinite, that indeed is worth having, worth conquering, and worth possessing. It is divine light, divine love, divine life. It is also supreme peace, perfect joy, and all mastery upon earth with the complete manifestation as the crowning. When you get the sense of the relativity of things, then whatever happens, you can step back and look. You can remain quiet and call on the divine force and wait for an answer. Then you will know exactly what to do. Remember, therefore, that you cannot receive the answer before you are very peaceful. You cannot receive the answer if you are not peaceful. Practice that inner peace. Make at least a small beginning and go in your practice until it becomes a habit with you. Next topic, psychic presence. Psychic presence, psychic being, the real origin of race superiority. Our Divine Mother says, with regard to the evolution upwards, it is more correct to speak of the psychic presence than the psychic being. For it is the psychic presence which little by little becomes the psychic being. In each evolving form, there is this presence, but it is not individualized. It is something which is capable of growth and follows the moment of the evolution. It is not a descent of the involution from above. It is formed progressively round the spark of the divine consciousness, which is meant to be the center of a growing being, which becomes the psychic being when it is at last individualized. It is this spark that is permanent and gathers around itself all sorts of elements for the formation of that individuality. The true psychic being is formed only when the psychic personality is fully grown, fully built up round the eternal divine spark. It attains its culmination, its total fulfillment, if and when it unites with a being or personality from above. Below the human level, there is ordinarily hardly any individual formation. There is only this presence, more or less. But when, by the growth of the body, round the spark, the divine consciousness is there, humanity began upon earth. Certain human organisms became in the course of this progressive growth sufficiently perfected, and by their opening and receptivity allowed a junction with certain beings descending from above. This gave rise to a kind of divine humanity which may be called a race of the elite. A divine mother says, if only they had remained by themselves, these people would have continued as a race unique and superhuman. Indeed, many races have made claims to be that. The Aryan, the Semitic, and the Japanese have all in turn considered themselves the chosen race. But in fact, there has been a general leveling of humanity, a law of intermixture. For those arose the necessity of the prolongation of the superior race, which drove it to intermix with the rest of humanity, with animal humanity, that is to say. Thus, its value was degraded and led to that great fall which is spoken of in the world's scriptures, the coming out of paradise, the end of the golden age. Indeed, it was a loss from the point of view of consciousness, but not from that of material strength, since it was a tremendous gain to ordinary humanity. There were certainly some beings who had a very strong will not to mix, who resented losing their superiority, and it is just this that is the real origin of race pride, race exclusiveness, and a special caste distinction like that cherished by the Brahmins in India. But at present, it cannot be said there is any portion of mankind which is purely animal. All the races have been touched by the descent from above, and owing to the extensive intermixture, the result of the involution was more widely spread. Of course, one cannot say that every man has got a psychic being, just as one cannot refuse to grant it to every animal. Many animals that have lived near man have since beginning of it, while so often one comes across people who do not seem to be anything else than brutes. Here too, there has been a good deed of leveling, but on the whole, the psychic, in the true sense, starts at the human stage. That is also why the Catholic religion declares that only man has a soul. In man alone, there is the possibility of the psychic being growing to its full stature, even so far as to be able in the end to join and unite with the descending being, a Godhead from above. A divine mother says the perception of the exterior consciousness may deny the perception of the psychic, but the psychic has the true knowledge, an instinctive knowledge. It says, I know, I cannot give reasons, but I know. For its knowledge is not mental, based on experience or proved true. It does not believe about proofs are given. Faith is the moment of the soul whose knowledge is spontaneous and direct. Even if the whole world denies and brings forward 1,000 proofs to the contrary, still it knows by an inner knowledge, a direct perception that can stand against everything, a perception by identity. The knowledge of the psychic is something which is concrete and tangible, a solid mass. You can also bring it into your mental, your vital, and your physical. Then you have an integral faith, a faith which can really move mountains. But nothing in the being must come and say, it is not like that, or ask for a test. But by the least half belief, you spoil matters. How can the Supreme manifest if faith is not integral and immovable? Faith in itself is always unshakable. That is its very nature. For otherwise, it is not faith at all, but it may happen that the mind or the vital or the physical does not follow the psychic movement. A man can come to a yogi and have a sudden faith that this person will lead him to his goal. He doesn't know whether the person has knowledge or not. He feels a psychic shock and knows that he has met his master. He does not believe after a long mental consideration or seeing many miracles. And this is the only kind of faith worthwhile. You will always miss your destiny if you start arguing. Some people sit down and consider whether the psychic impulse is reasonable or not. These are the words of our Divine Mother.
The door is cut in the mud wall of self. Across the lonely threshold with bowed head, angels of ecstasy and self-giving pass.